Hey, welcome to World Entertainment, and if you've just been wondering how much of a dumpster fire the Acolyte is going to be, yes, the new Leslie Halland, former personal assistant of one Harvey Weinstein and showrunner of the Acolyte, has come out to inform us exactly what this show will be, but everything she says makes absolutely zero sense. And I'll show you what I mean by that. Not the what she's now saying it's similar to, because as we know, she's comparing this thing to Kill Bill meets Frozen. Well, now she's saying it's similar to Russian Doll. That being that your eyes will deceive you, how the audience will be fed information episode by episode, and the story kind of gets unveiled as it goes along. You know, the way almost every television program goes. But it's what she brings up a little later on in this big stupid interview she did with Total Film, where you're just scratching your head going, wait, none of this makes sense. What are you talking about? To start with, her whole it's going to deceive your eyes and stuff, we're pretty sure that means that the bad guys are actually going to be the good guys, because we've heard her say how this show was going to show you the people who you think are the bad guys are not actually that bad, how the Sith are misunderstood. And remember, this show is meant to take place 100 years before the Phantom Menace, which also doesn't line up with the stories she's telling. When you look at the overall arc in the Star Wars timeline, it should be at least 1,000 years before the Phantom Menace. But if you thought her screwing up the whole dates thing was bad enough, wait till you hear this. This is what she's telling us this show is going to be. And she says this: it's a show packed with everything I wanted to explore. I wanted EU stuff in there. References to the original trilogy, the Phantom Menace, the Disney sequels. It's absolutely packed, because you never know, you may not get the chance again. How is this making any sense? So the show is set 100 years before the Phantom Menace, and yet there's going to be references to the Phantom Menace. There's going to be references to the original trilogy. There's even going to be references to the Disney sequel trilogy. How can there possibly be references to stuff that's in the future to the thing that's a prequel? That makes no sense. Do you realize how stupid that is? And the fact that they're taking things from the EU as well, you know, the expanded universe, the very thing that Kathleen Kennedy said didn't exist. They didn't have that to pull stories and information characters from, even though that's all they've been doing is bastardizing the EU. By the way, Friday was the 5-year anniversary since they dumped the EU. Yeah. But now you have Leslie Headland. Once again, this is the woman who couldn't even name a Star Wars movie. You remember that? Her on the red carpet for The Rise of Skywalker, when she got asked, hey, what's your favorite Star Wars movie? And she said, there is no Star Wars movie. There is only Star Wars. Yeah. Well, now she clearly hasn't a clue, because she's the prequel to the prequels. And yet she's going to have references to the prequels, the OG trilogy, the EU, and the Disney trilogy. How? Explain that. How can that possibly be the case? And there's a bunch of new pictures, and they are just trash pictures, which you can see. You know, Daphne King looks god awful in whatever species he's supposed to be. They're just nothing images. Not to mention, everything looks too clean. Yes, it's meant to be in the time of the Jedi at their highest power levels and blah blah blah. But you'd still expect things to look a bit weathered and, the clothes not to be as pristine and stuff. Everything just looks far too clean. Carrie-Anne Moss, of course, they keep highlighting, who apparently, spoiler if you don't want to know this, but I'm telling it because I don't think anyone actually cares. Yeah, apparently she dies in the first episode. So she's literally, at least physically, in one episode. Unless we just get flashbacks with her, or somehow, which also won't make sense, be a Force ghost. Why doesn't that make sense? If she's a Jedi? Because we know Qui-Gon Jinn is the first Jedi to learn the ability of being a Force ghost. Just go back to Revenge of the Sith and look at the conversation between Yoda and Obi-Wan Kenobi when he says about your old master has learned to communicate from beyond. That his training never stopped. So Qui-Gon Jinn was the first to be able to do that. So she can't possibly be showing up as a Force ghost. Or can she? Because once again, she's going to be referencing the OG trilogy up to the Disney trilogy. This is just shows you the incompetence of these people. Oh, we just want to reference everything in Star Wars because we might never get to do it again. Even though we've purposely set our show decades before the original Star Wars and even the prequels. Sweet Lord of Jesus, what are these people doing? This show is going to be an absolute dumpster fire. And I, for one, am all here for it because, yes, I am going to review this thing. I also have an odd feeling that they're going to dump the whole thing in one go. I would not be surprised. I do not think they are going to put it out weekly. I think they're just going to dump it in one go. But we're going to have to wait and see what happens with that, because it seems to be that's the way to go now with them, especially if they don't have much confidence in it. And the fact that it's been getting ratioed into oblivion, it's quite telling. But anyway, there's the ridiculousness that is going to be the Acolyte. That just makes no sense. So, with that, like, share, subscribe, check out the t-shirts, all that good stuff, the memberships, and cheers, and I'll catch you in the next one.